Hey guys, I'm back. I got a request to do a guitar stringing tutorial, and this is how I string my guitar. I'm sorry I haven't done a video in so long. It's been over a year, I think. But what better way to start fresh than with a fresh set of strings on the guitar? So here we go. What you're going to need is your strings. This is what I use. These Elixir Light Nano Web phosphorus bronze, and you can see the package here. So that's what I use those every time. It's got a really good crisp sound. You got a pair of side cutters to clip the strings at the end, and just a nice kind of damp rag to wipe the dust off your guitar, because every 6 months or so when you change your strings, it's good to clean it up so it shines nice. So the first thing you do is you're gonna take all the strings back and just loosen them all off, kind of slowly together. Don't do one at a time. All right, so you're just gonna loosen all those down. So you got to get it loose enough so you can pull this string over the machine head. So that's got to go a lot more. So just bring it back till it starts to slack off, and that'll pop over right there. Just like that. All right, pop it out, and we'll do them all before we take them out back here. All right, that pops over. You just unwind it. That'll pop over. All right, they're all popped off. All right, so now you got to get the pegs out, and this should never be hard. You don't want to be wrenching on these with a pair of pliers or anything to get them out. They should just pop right out, but there's a trick. So a lot of people try and pull them out without doing anything to the string, and a lot of times that works, but sometimes this part here will be so wedged into this slot that it's going to be hard to pull that peg out. So I'll show you what to do if that happens. So it should be relatively easy to pull out. So this one's a little bit stiff. So what you're going to do, instead of trying to reach under your guitar and stab it up through and or reef on it with pliers, just take the string and push it down. See how that just popped out of the groove? Then it should just pop right out. Just shove that string down and pop that out. Next one. See if it comes out by itself. Yeah, that one's loose enough. And just keep these in order. I always use the same order with my pegs. Next one pops right out. Just keep these pegs in a line. It's kind of a preference thing. It probably doesn't matter at all, but I like to keep them the same as they were. And the last one, I put them back in the same way. Then you're just going to take all your strings out of the hole here. Keep them all together, bunched up. And you probably won't use these again, but sometimes I keep them as backup. Now comes the cleaning part. So we're just going to give it a quick dust with a wet rag. Get all the places that we couldn't clean when there were strings on there. Give that a wipe down, get the bridge. So you get that nice shine on stage. Getting the crevs, just keep wiping her, do it nice in between each fret, because you can't get that when the strings are there. Alright, so open up your pack. I start with the thickest string, big E string, and just unwrap it carefully. Careful not to kink your strings, especially the smaller ones. They'll kink easier. So you're going to take this end of the string with the bead on it, push it down into the first hole, and slide the peg in on top of it with the groove of the peg facing towards the neck. Alright, push it down in there. So that bead is going to be pulled up into this groove. All right. Push that down in nice and tight. And you're going to grab the end of the string and just pull up a little bit as you push down on the peg. All right? You'll feel that kind of go in there. You'll have to keep pressing the peg down as you tighten that string. All right. Now we'll go down to this end of the guitar and slide that string in. Make sure you're going in through the machine head from the inside of the headstock out towards your tuning key. All right, yeah. So if you have some of the strings going on the outside, winding on the outside, it's just that much more distance it has to bend back to get to that groove in your nut right there. This is your nut, and it has to travel on a steeper angle to get back, which isn't good. It's more likely to pop out. So keep all your strings on the inside of your machine heads, if that makes sense. The thicker the string, the less you're going to leave for string length as you wind it. Because it's a thicker diameter, it's going to take up more of the machine head, and you're going to need less turns to fill that space. And you don't want to have too few of turns, and you don't want to go over as well, because that's going to affect how long your guitar stays in tune, and it'll also slightly affect the sustain of your guitar. The more downward pressure you have on the nut, the more sustain you're going to have. So we're going to try and maximize that. All right. So the first step is to kink this string in like this, and kink the part that comes out towards you this way. So you got a zigzag going through the machine head, and you're going to start winding that so the string stays on the inside. All right. And you're going to wind so the string stacks going down closer to the guitar, not up. Careful not to cross it. And just keep tension on it, but not too much with your hand, and keep downward pressure to keep the wraps going under themselves. There's 3 there, and it just starts to get tight at 3. That's perfect. All right, so now as I tighten, you're going to keep pushing this peg. And you don't go too tight. That's perfect, just like that. So now you clip the excess string off. Careful not to clip too close. You want to leave just about a 1/4 inch. All right, you take your next string, the A string, unwinding it carefully to not kink it. Take the next peg, repeat the same process as before. Give it some pressure up, make sure it's locked in. You want to line that hole so it's facing in. Putting your string from the inside out. So on this one, we'll leave a little bit more than we did before because it's a thinner diameter. So now we're going to do this zigzag bend. So the one on the inside bends towards the bridge, and the one on the outside bends away. All right, you start turning, keeping that pressure down. Keep going, you should get at least 3 wraps around. Careful not to whip your eye with the tail of the string. All right, and just make sure that peg doesn't pop out. That's good there. There's 3 wraps, so I had a little bit of space. I could have gone a little bit more slack on that, but that's okay because I hit my 3. Now I'm going to clip the excess string off, leaving about a 1/4 inch. Just like that. Alright, next string, D string. Make sure you have the right string. You can't really take it off and put it back on once you've messed that up, so check the numbers. Same process, just feed that in, pushing it down with the peg, pulling back on the string at the same time. Feed it in from the inside out, and we're going to leave even more slack up here, so about, that's a bit much, about that much. Then you do that zigzag kink, okay, and just start wrapping it. Keep it going. You got lots of room on the machine head for more wraps because this is a smaller diameter string. We're going to keep increasing the amount we put on as we go down in gauge. That's perfect. Alright, so as long as you don't use up the whole length of this where the strings wrap, it's called the machine head, as long as you don't use that all up and your string's not pressing into this nut here, and that's perfect there. So that gives me even more downward pressure the farther down that string is attached. Next string, G string. Make sure you're keeping an eye on the order of strings that you're doing. You don't put the wrong one on. They are in order in the box. They come set up for you, but just make sure you're not grabbing the one in front of the one you want. So you're going to feed it out away from you, so the strings are inside. Alright. And you leave even more on this one. That's good. Do the zigzag bend and start wrapping, turning it the other way so it stays on the inside. You can check that peg as well. Clip off the extra and move to the next one. Just like that. Yeah, I like to leave quite a bit on these ones, just so it doesn't slip, because they're not wrapped, they're way more slippery, so we don't want them slipping on this post here. Slowly let off the tension as you're turning and tighten it up. Make sure this peg stays in. And I usually give a little bit of a pull up close to the peg to make sure it's locked into that groove, just so it doesn't pop after when there's too much tension on it, because that's how you can get a kink right there. If this pops now, there would be too much tension and it would have already bent it a little bit at the bridge, and now my kink would be moved up past the bridge, which is going to shorten the life of the string. Cut off the rest here. Last one, the hardest one. Quite a bit on this one, just because it's such a small string and not wrapped. Zigzag and keeping tension on that enough that if you don't keep tension on it, pulling away from the post here, it can bounce, and you'll get the strings kind of crossed over. The wraps will be crossed over each other, and you don't want that. You want a nice neat stack of wraps. Make sure it's sitting in that nut. All right, there's enough tension on it. I don't have to worry about pulling on it anymore. I'm just gonna pull up away from this peg to make sure that's locked in, because I don't want it to pop after. All right, that feels good. We'll increase the tension a little bit before we clip the end off. Now we're going to slowly bring them all up to their correct pitch. And it's just kind of a rough guess at first, because these are going to go out of tune. And see, we got this nice neat string setup. Everything, it's all on the inside. It's all got a nice amount of wraps. They're not crossed over one another. It's just the best way you can string your guitar to maximize your sound and your life of your strings and the sustain you get. So you just slowly bring it up to pitch. Alright, now I usually just slightly put a little bit of pressure on these. Just bend them out a little bit. These are brand new strings, so you just got to stretch them out a little bit to hold their tuning a lot better. B, E. Perfect. Nice. And that's it. That's how you string your guitar. Alright. See you guys.